Good evening, beautiful people. We're here, Condensed Chaos by Hines. This is part 16. Get yourselves ready, witches, wizards, warlocks, magicians, maguses, magi. Let's go. You must grit your teeth and be prepared to acknowledge in your diary your weak areas and the conversations which you have with yourself to convince yourself that you can't do it. It can be useful to divide a page into 2 columns and list your perceived strengths and weaknesses, what you would like to change, and how you perceive magic as being able to help you change. Know thyself was the admonition to the initiate in the Greek Ulyssean mysteries, and it remains a core axiom for magicians to this present day. Is magic dangerous? Though it is rarely admitted, there are certain pitfalls that magicians are prone to, and even the most advanced of us can end up in them. Some of the pitfalls associated with the practice of magics are isolation. Isolation, that reminds me of that Mighty Boosh song when they got the coconuts. Isolation precedes madness, yet most how-to books on magic are written for the solo practitioner. Although magicians tend to be individualists, it is well to remember that we are social beings too, and we rarely grow in isolation to others. Hence a major reason for the existence of magical orders, groups, and courses. Although not everyone likes working in a group, it is nonetheless useful to have someone with you whom you can discuss your ideas, progress, problems, and feelings with. Even if people do not share your interests, a sympathetic ear is often helpful. Magic is not about retreating from the world, but a way of becoming more effective within it. If you can't communicate what's going on inside you to another person, and likewise are unable to hear other people's opinions, then it is very easy to end up in some of the other pitfalls. Magusitis. Some books on magic tend to give the impression that a magus is someone who can do anything from crossing the abyss overnight to balancing his checkbook. Magusitis covers the syndrome for people who, despite what their peers think of them, feel themselves to have reached some exalted state which is usually synonymous with behaving like a complete asshole. It is very easy for magicians to convince themselves that they are the best thing since sliced bread and hence above everyone else, given automatic respect and are obviously more important. Sadly, the sufferer of Magusitis tends to be seen by others as a figure of scorn, pity, fun, or someone to avoid at all costs. Their inflated sense of their own importance is rarely shared by anyone else, and their antics often put other people off the idea of becoming a magician. Sufferers often display an intense desire to be a guru or teacher, presumably so they can acquire a captive audience who will reinforce their sense of being right in the face of all evidence to the contrary. As they find it difficult to accept that anyone could possibly be at their level of illumination, they lack the ability to develop the empathy, communication, and social skills that makes for an effective teacher. In short, if you think that you are wonderful, but no one else seems to agree, then it's time to have a very close look at yourself. Obsession. Obsession is not a danger that is exclusive to magic. You can become obsessed about anything, from sex to train spotting, but the common factor present in all obsessions is that you can't talk about anything else. Being obsessed with magic is a popular trip. I've done it myself, constantly going on about magic to all and sundry, regardless of whether or not they are really interested, and if the conversation turns to something beyond magic, suddenly feeling uncomfortable. Then there's the sinister behavior that sometimes manifests, cultivating a glamour of being an outsider and staring into people's eyes. This is often a cover for a lack of social skills and a gnawing sense of inferiority. Cosmic tragedy. Those who enter the world of magic often feel a sense of tremendous urgency to put the world to rights, become illuminated, and do all manner of idealistic things in a tremendous hurry. Suddenly, everything that happens takes on a magical significance. So too, one's fears, worries, and problems take on a cosmic dimension to the level where you are not merely going through a bad patch, but are having a cosmic initiation that no one else can possibly understand and is vital to the future of the human race. Paranoia. It's amazing how quickly we can, either alone or in a group, generate an atmosphere of magical paranoia, which tends to create a situation where something odd is likely to happen, which of course is then going to be seen as evidence for an attack being underway. And then what happens? That's right, you start looking for enemies. But you might say magical attack does happen. Well, yes it does, but I would argue that 9 times out of 10, one only has to look in a mirror to see the source of the bad vibes. Over the last 15 years or so, I've only detected 3 magical attacks, which is surprising given the talent I seem to have for upsetting people. Of which each has been corroborated by other people, and which fortunately I've been able to do something about at the time. But I've met any amount of occultists who were convinced that they were under attack by Satanists, Black Lodges, Chaos Magicians, etc., etc. Gnostic Burnout. Gnostic Burnout occurs when you have been overdoing it, magically. Often this is a case of too many rituals in a very short space of time, or a result of not thoroughly grounding yourself after a particularly heavy session. Some people are of the opinion that if you're a good magician, then this shouldn't happen. Personally, I am of the opinion that if you are a good magician, then you have to expect this sort of occurrence as your practice propels you into weird states of consciousness, strange bodily sensations, and just downright weirdness. My own response to episodes of Gnostic Burnout is to go off and have a good lie down, and support from other people helps too. Alright, we're going to stop it there, and we will be back tomorrow with more Chaos Magic.